Movies have a lot of money. I mean, it's right there in the name. The cameramen have been moving their units in just about every way you can imagine, since just about as soon as cameras were light enough to do it. Cranes and trains and automobiles, strapped to people and places and things and iguanas, and crashed into the ocean and thrown out a window and jumped off a roof and CGI simulated until mostly possible. It's been a couple months, but we haven't forgotten about our best shots. And while our last 3 installments have focused on the less scale, it's the direction we ourselves turn the most, as we are largely horizontal moving creatures in a horizontal moving world. So to us, a pan feels like scanning, like looking around. It's an attention changer, following someone as they walk by or noticing something in our periphery. It can feel like spinning around in the middle of action, or like tracking it from far away. It reveals things, connects them in proximity as it turns from one to another. Some of our favorite pans come from Rear Window, where Jeffries scans Thorvald's apartment through his binoculars, and in the work of House Sen, in long scenes with patient and restrained long takes that pan ever so slowly, or quickly and jerkily in the whip pans of Wes Anderson. But if there's a master of the pan, there's no name that comes to mind quicker than in camera terms they have names. You can rotate with a pan, tilt, or cant, and you can translate with a push, a track, or a boom. So for our first foray into motion, we're keeping it simple and limiting ourselves to these kinds of moves. No craning with the tilt, no tracking with a pan, and for the love of God, no orbits. Just basic movement along one axis only with a look at each in turn. Here is the tilt. A vertical turn, a craning upwards, or a peering downwards. And these feel totally different to us. Tilting up is like a look of awe, a camera move that marvels at grandeur, like we're in the diner from Back to the Future staring up at Biff. And tilting down reminds us of dropping our eyes, of letting our gaze fall. It's a sinking feeling in a shot. And the first thing that comes to mind when we think of looming and tilting is Citizen Kane. Sure enough, it's filled with the terrifying neck strainers of an imposing Orson Welles. Interstellar blows our minds with the tilt up on a space station that ends up behaving like a tilt down, while The Fountain turns the move into a full disorienting flip. And oh yeah, how about that Star Wars opening shot? But for our second pick, we think that our boy Tarkovsky's The Sacrifice has a pair of beautiful slow motion tilt downs that blow the field away, like a dream or a vision or a memory of a man contemplating his life. Because unless you have vertigo, your brain compensates for the role your inner ear detects and visually stabilizes your field of view until you get it really far over. So we don't have much of an experiential history for the role, which means when we see it on screen without our inner ear telling us to correct for the horizon shift, the meaning it tends to take on is just weirdness and disorientation, maybe dizzy or drunk or paranoid. Gaspar Noé does this in a big way at the end of Irreversible, while Carol Reed plays with it subtly in The Third Man. Apocalypse Now starts with an incredible example, while The Face of Another flips a scene on end and the power dynamics with it. However, for our third pick, we're actually looking to Chris Nolan, who designed a whole scene around the role in Inception, but we think did it even better in The Dark Knight, right after Batman apprehends the Joker for the final time.
This is what happens. An unstoppable force meets an immovable.
Our Batman regarding him from right side up in the world. But once the role has finished, things look very a big foe. So, in between the start point of the Batman perspective and the end we're the danglers with Batman to feeling like we're the dangled, panned and tilted and spun every which way, it's time to lock our tripod head, throw the camera on some wheels, and push. And that makes a big difference, because while the rotational shots are all about changes in perspective from a fixed geographical location, our next 3 shots will actually transport us and our point of view through space. And the first way to do that is with a push or a pull. A dolly move, these can feel all different kinds of ways. Slow or fast, subtle or obvious, long or short, in or out. Pushing in towards a point is a pretty common move to turn up the emotional volume. You can see this famously in the Spielberg close-up, where Steve pushes into a widening of the eyes, or in the introduction of John Wayne in Stagecoach, or our perennial favorite, Harry Lime in The Third Man. Pulling out from a point feels like we're abandoning it, like we're getting the hell out of there, adding distance or backing away in full view as we watch the subject proceed. We've only got one place else to go, and that's up. Down. Up or down, but vertically, either way. The point is, our last move is vertical, the crane, or pedestal, or boom. And just like the Dutch tilt, but the good news is that it tends to pack a big punch. The boom feels to us like riding in a glass elevator, watching the world rise up or fall away. It feels like ascending into the heavens or descending towards the depths. There is either a soaring feeling to it or a plummeting blow up. And in our opinion, most beautifully and down in Item's Child, straight in or out along the camera's axis.